Hey guys, how's it going? In this video, we're going to be doing an unboxing, and I'm going to give my first impressions on the Galaxy S24 FE. This phone is on sale at the time of this video. I'll have some links in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. The retail price is $650. Comes in 4 different colors. We have mint, gray, graphite, and blue, which is the color we're going to be checking out here today. Comes in 2 different configurations. We have 128GB storage and 8GB of RAM, and an upgraded 256GB storage and 8GB of RAM. So we're not all staring at a box. Let's go ahead and check out the Galaxy S24 FE. Shout out to Samsung for sending out this review unit ahead of time. Let's see what we get in the box. Inside the box, we have a USB Type-C to Type-C charging cable. We have a little bit of paperwork and our SIM ejection tool. Let's go ahead and check out the star of the show here, the Galaxy S24 FEs. First impressions immediately out of the packaging. This is very similar to the Galaxy S24 Plus. Man, when you have these on camera, they look literally identical, but in person, you can slightly notice a difference of having a matte finish on the S24 Plus and on this FE having a glossy finish, but as far as the sidings, they feel very similar. But let's take a quick physical tour here. On the right side, we have our volume rockers and power button. On the bottom, we have 2 mics, our Type-C port capable of 25-watt super fast charge, and one of our 2 speakers. On the left side, we have just our 5G antenna. Then on the top, we have 2 more mics and our SIM tray, which inside here looks like we just have room for 1 SIM card, no micro SD card slot on this. Let's go ahead and boot up the Galaxy S24 FE, check out the reduced bezels, and continue to look at it versus some of these other Samsung phones because, gosh, it just looks so darn similar. Here is the Galaxy A55 next to this one. Taking our first look at the 6.7-inch 1080p 120Hz AMOLED display. We have what feels like a very premium phone in the hand, feels very similar to that S24 Plus, and more notably, we have what is actually a pretty larger screen compared to last year's S23 FE. This one had just a 6.4-inch screen. We're now bumping up to that 6.7-inch display size, and we also have reduced bezels here, so not nearly as much chin on the bottom and a little bit less bezel on the sidings. This does also feel pretty light for its larger size, so let's go ahead and check the weight here. This S24 FE is coming in at 212 grams. Now the S23 FE from last year, 210 grams. So that's pretty crazy that this has a smaller battery, a smaller screen. It's a smaller phone overall, yet we have a pretty similar weight here. So I'm really liking that we have a lighter phone in a larger form factor. So at least physically, this is feeling like a definite upgrade initially here. And a couple of other quick side-by-side comparisons. We have the Galaxy A55, Samsung's mid-range phone. 6.6-inch display on this one, maybe slightly more bezels around the edges, a similar chin on the bottom. I would say probably the biggest difference between these, we have more sharper edges on this A55, whereas the S24 FE, it has a nice, really rounded, premium feeling finish, very similar to the S24 Plus. So you can see now really the biggest physical difference between these two phones as far as the bezels here, very minimal on the S24 Plus, of course. It makes the device a little bit smaller overall. So initially, this is feeling like a very premium offering from Samsung at a considerable lower price than their S24 series, and the FE devices tend to go on sale very quickly and very often, so there could be some good deals on these in the very near future, but I don't want to get too carried away. I want to go ahead, put my information in this phone, set it up, use it for the day, and I'll come back with my final first impressions on the Galaxy S24 FE. All right, so it's been a few hours now since I first started using this Galaxy S24 FE. I'm definitely ready to share some of my first impressions with you guys. So first, getting into the phone, the Biometrics, we have a really fast face recognition on this. Gets you in super quick and works every time. And then we have an in-display fingerprint reader. This is an optical fingerprint sensor, so you do have to hold your thumb there for just a little bit in order for it to unlock. To show what I mean here, on the S24 Plus, if I tap this, you see that it will just unlock right away. You just tap it one time. So if I try that on the S24 FE, it says press a little longer. So you do just have to hold it for that split second, but it still gets you in pretty quick. And once you're in, you're greeted by the 6.7-inch 1080p 120Hz refresh rate AMOLED display. I've been really enjoying this display initially here in my first few hours of use. I am so glad that Samsung has brought their larger 6.7-inch screen size to this FE device, because interestingly in Samsung's lineup right now, as far as their new phone offerings, they only have 3 phones right now in this 6.7-inch screen size. The budget, cheapest Galaxy A06 that I just made a video on And then, of course, the flagship S24 Plus coming in at $1,000 retail price. And this A06 is about $120 retail price. So something in the middle of that at least. The Galaxy A55 that I showed earlier, the mid-range phone from Samsung, this is a 6.6-inch screen, and some of their other releases in the A series have also been at this 6.6-inch size or smaller than that, 6.5 and 6.4. So at a quick glance, these do look pretty similar, honestly. So I think it more so might just be me being a sucker for Samsung's 6.7-inch display size. I've always loved this screen size, dating back on a lot of their phones over the years. I just find it to be a great size as far as a phone that's not insanely oversized, but gives you a great screen size to be able to watch videos and play games on, which, just showing one more quick comparison here with another 6.7-inch screen size on the market right now, the iPhone 16 Plus. You can see here that the bezels are actually looking slimmer on this FE device. The screen gets very bright outdoors. I can see it perfectly fine. Granted, it wasn't a super sunny day today for my camera tests and things, unfortunately, but to go along with the nice display, we also have very nice performance here in my initial testing. This comes packed with the Exynos 2400E processor. I had never used this processor before, my first time, but overall, as you can see, everything has just been super buttery smooth on this phone. No matter what you do, just all of your little navigations and things like that, everything from a software perspective is definitely very smooth on this device. I also did a little bit of gaming testing because Samsung claimed there's an enhanced gaming experience on this phone this year. There is a larger vapor chamber, and I can confirm in my initial testing that gaming performance is good on this phone. I'm able to play Super Mario Strikers on Dolphin Emulator at a 1080p resolution at a smooth 60 Hz refresh rate, and I know I harped on it for the last couple of minutes of this video, but just having that slightly larger screen size for gaming, for me personally, just goes a really long way. For just having that slightly larger screen just really goes a long way for me personally when playing a lot of games. So overall, in my initial testing, this phone is certainly no slouch when it comes to performance. Taking a look at the cameras, we have a triple lens setup here. We have our 50 megapixel primary, we have a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and then there's an 8 megapixel 3x telephoto lens. This goes up to a 30 times zoom, but I will say results aren't the greatest at this 30 times digital zoom. For example, if you zoom into the sign at 30 times, the text isn't even super clear. So in my initial testing, I found that the 10 times digital zoom still looks pretty good, but on the video side, we definitely have very capable camera hardware here. This films in up to 8K 30. However, I usually just stick to the 4K 60, and image stabilization seems very good in my initial testing. When I was filming this, it kind of seemed like the phone was shaking around a bit in my hands, but looking back at the footage, it's very smooth. Doing my usual test here, definitely very good image stabilization here at the 4K 60. We also have 4K 60 on the front-facing camera, so really nice smooth video here, both on the front and rear of the S24 FE. Overall, very good camera experience, good video, good photos. Definitely still a premium camera experience here on the FE Edition S24. And some of my initial photos also came out really good, so I'm very impressed with these cameras. Initially, I wasn't quite sure how these would stack up compared to the flagship S24s, but honestly, a very good camera setup here. And then, of course, one of the other highlight features that Samsung is going to be promoting a lot with this device is the Galaxy AI features. So there are lots of AI features coming to previous gen devices at this point, so it's just more so a waiting game if you have a past gen device, whereas on this S24 FE, you have everything straight in this phone. So you get some of the functionalities, such as being able to turn any video into slow-mo in real time, and then you can save that video if you want to. And also being able to summarize notes is really nice. So if you just have a word wall here, no one's going to read this, but if I go down here, tap this and do auto format, put it into some headers and bullets, and just go ahead and generate it. Wait a split second, not that long at all. You can see now that someone might be interested in reading this now, or if you just need to dump out some thoughts into notes, you're able to really organize it well then if you want to go back and look back and reference it or share it with someone else at work. So aside from all the translation functionalities, which are really cool, you can literally translate calls in real time. Personally, I just don't have as much of a need for that. Just some more basic, practical, everyday uses. If I wanted to go back and bullet point this and segmented it things, I could spend 5 minutes just trying to make this thing that it made in a few seconds. And there's a ton of photo editing capabilities with Galaxy AI as well. I will say I don't really mess around with this too much, so I won't show too much here, but just for example, I could select my puppy's head here, it'll lock onto it, and then you can put this really anywhere in the photo, but I thought maybe, okay, I could make her a little larger and maybe tilt her head around a little bit for just a little dramatic effect. So I'll go ahead and click generate here. And this is a gauge of how long the photo editing things can take with Galaxy AI. Just see it just takes a few extra split seconds, which is the case on really any Samsung device with the Galaxy AI features. But on the whole, there is definitely a lot of potential and a lot of great use case and functionality from Galaxy AI. Taking an early look at the battery life, I usually don't like to share this until I have a full day of usage at least to share my full thoughts on it, but I am going to be making more videos on this phone since I'm really enjoying it initially. But so far in my first battery use case, I have an hour and a half of screen time and about 20% of the battery drained. Mind you, this was with a lot of higher brightness to show it in the video and outdoors and things. So based on this use case, I could expect probably around 7.5 hours of screen on time. But overall, first impressions, I'm very impressed with the Galaxy S24 FE and my first few hours of usage. I honestly wasn't expecting to be this impressed and this happy with it, but I think that just might be more so because the S23 FE last year just didn't really feel worth its $650 retail price with the thicker bezels, a smaller display screen size, whereas the S24 FE this year has pretty much everything that the S24 flagship has, with the exception of, at least in my initial testing, just the fingerprint sensor and then also the bezels not being as slim. But other than those two things, with a $350 price difference between these two phones, I understand that this one is still coming in a bit higher than your A series options like the Galaxy A55, which is really one of Samsung's best phones they currently offer. But this one does have, again, just that nicer premium feel. We definitely have a nice camera system on this one. You definitely are paying more for those cameras. You are getting all of the Galaxy AI features on this phone straight out of the box. You don't have to wait for an update 6 months to a year from now, which is worth mentioning because you see ads for the new iPhone 16 on TV and they're all promoting Apple Intelligence, yet at the time of this video, there are no Apple Intelligence features at all to be used on this phone, whereas on the Galaxy S24 FE, straight out of the box, you can go ahead and start using those AI features. You are also getting 7 years of software and OS upgrades on this phone, so there's going to be a ton of software support for this device for the long haul. So I would highly recommend checking out this phone if you're interested. I'll have some links to it below in the description, but I'll be curious to hear your initial thoughts on the Galaxy S24 FE in the comments below, and stay tuned for my upcoming unboxing on the Galaxy Tab S10 Ultra. Take care.